you guys. So, we are obviously going to be talking about Diddy's apology video. It's really short, it's only a minute. Before we play it, we are going to look at the statements that his camp, it was released by his attorney Ben Brofman, but it was on his behalf, when Cassie first dropped that lawsuit last year. And then we're going to watch the apology in the context of his statement and see the mismatch. We're also going to look at two quick stories from 2016. Not from the same month as that elevator footage, but from 2 points later in the same year, where in one situation, Cassie seemed to have moved on and started a relationship or started dating someone else, and then another situation where Cassie is back with Diddy and the cops have to be called. So we're going to go through a few short things that all kind of come together in this video, and guests are welcome to come up if they want to. If you're watching over on X, you will have to come over to YouTube for this link, I believe. But if anyone wants to come in and share their commentary, just drop the link in the YouTube chat. So shout out to Barbara, to Carol, to Juanita, and Jameer, who are all here as some early birds. And we're going to get right into it. So right before we watch this video, remember, we're going to revisit this statement from November of 2023, right after Cassie dropped her suit. So Cassie had said, "After years in silence and darkness, I'm finally ready to tell my story and to speak up on behalf of myself and for the benefit of other women who face violence and abuse in their relationships." And what did Mr. Combs respond with through his attorney, Ben Brofman? At the time, he said this, quote, "Mr. Combs vehemently denies these offensive and outrageous allegations. For the past 6 months, Mr. Combs has been subjected to Ms. Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book based on their relationship, which was unequivocally rejected as blatant blackmail. Despite withdrawing her initial threat, Ms. Ventura has now resorted to filing a lawsuit riddled with baseless and outrageous lies, aiming to tarnish Mr. Combs' reputation and seeking a payday." But what happened? It's riddled with baseless and outrageous lies. But then we get that entire video from March 2016 from hotel surveillance camera footage. And we're not going to play that video. It's everywhere on the internet if you want to go watch it. I'm not going to play it again. But was Cassie's suit full of baseless and outrageous lies? So let's look at this apology with that statement in mind.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you got to do that. I was fucked up. I hit rock bottom. But I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy. I'm going to rehab. I had to ask God for His mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
So now that we've seen it in full, unadulterated, let's break this down. First of all, is it going to let me replay this? I might have to refresh it. All right, it does. I don't know, he has a lot of money. He could have this nice little cabana in his backyard somewhere, but he could be recording this from who knows where. Like, where is he right now? And if he was going to make this video, he kind of waited like at least a full day and a half, because CNN broke that story midday on Friday, right? It was like 1 p.m. Eastern, I think that dropped. So he had time to marinate on this. He didn't come out with some video recording right away as soon as the news dropped. And this is what we get. Even though he had some time to marinate on it, decide what he was going to say, this is what we get. So 1, where is he? And 2, let's break it down. So let's go through snippet by snippet.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Which means what? Some force of darkness is what caused you to have some type of outer body experience and do what you did to Cassie in that elevator footage? Because that's just one thing, right? But if we think about Cassie's lawsuit, that spanned like a decade. So is he saying that the darkest time of his life was a large percentage of his entire life? 10 years? It's not like it was one day, one bad week, one bad month where, he was going through it. Her allegations spanned like almost a decade. So what does it mean when you call that the darkest point of your life? And what is it right now that you're in?
Sometimes you gotta do that. I was fucked up. I hit rock bottom. But I make no excuses.
You started this video with excuses, and then you say you make no excuses.
Behavior on that video is inexcusable.
True.
I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
He takes full responsibility. But what was he saying in November of 2023? Now he's making this video a day and a half after CNN leaks security footage from the hotel. But what did he say in November of 2023? Let's read it again and you tell me if it sounds like taking responsibility. In response to Cassie's lawsuit, Mr. Combs' lawyer, Ben Brofman, said, Mr. Combs vehemently denies these offensive and outrageous allegations. For the past 6 months, Mr. Combs has been subjected to Ms. Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book about their relationship, which was unequivocally rejected as blatant blackmail. Despite withdrawing her initial threat, Ms. Ventura has now resorted to filing a lawsuit riddled with baseless and outrageous lies, aiming to tarnish Mr. Combs' reputation and seeking a payday. What dictionary would call this taking responsibility? Which one?
I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then. When I did it, I'm disgusted.
Do you think he was disgusted then? Because what did Cassie allege she tried to do? And I'm saying alleged because it, wasn't proven in a court of law, but I believe it. She says after that hotel incident, she tried to get away. She tried to go spend time with her mom. And Diddy's attorney ends up calling her, or the management team from Bad Boy Records is like, yo, you need to call Diddy. You need to call him. So she feels pressured. She calls. She's still stuck in a contract with them. She's supposed to have 10 albums out. We know that didn't happen. He had people calling her when she tried to go to another state and get away. He had people calling her saying, you have to get back in touch with Diddy. So were you really disgusted? And were you disgusted when you had someone, either yourself or maybe you went personally or you had your assistant pay $50,000 to get the security tape from the hotel? Were you disgusted? Or were you just trying to maintain control and power over a situation? Let's keep going.
Disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy, and go into rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace.
I had to ask God. Hold on, let's take it one step further back. You had to get help from professionals. And then you mentioned therapy. What professionals did you go to when you said, hey, go call Cassie when she's trying to get away after I beat her in a hotel? What professionals were those? Was that to get you help to get out of your darkest place? Or were you having professionals that you knew going out and handling your dirty laundry for you? What professionals did you call to get help? And help in what way? Because he says, I needed professional help. And then he pauses and then he says therapy. It's not the same thing. They're not always synonymous. And then, of course, we know he has attorney power, right? So, this guy, this apology video.
I'm so sorry.
He asks for forgiveness and mercy from God, and then looks down and looks up at the camera and says, I'm so sorry. Have you ever actually asked Cassie for genuine forgiveness? I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say that that's probably 99.9% true, based on everything else. Because again, he certainly wasn't asking Cassie for her forgiveness in November of 2023. He was calling her, basically a blackmailer, a liar, outrageously lying. Has he ever actually apologized to the person who deserves it? He's making this video now after a video comes out. And I want to pause before I lose it. I want to shout out to Cruz for sending, I see the emojis. But otherwise, this is pure love of the game, right? So thank you so much for your super chat there. And again, I will drop the link again. I see a bunch of new people joined. I saw Pam in here. I see Hazel. If anyone does want to come up and share their thoughts, feel free. I will get to the other chats, but I wanted to make sure to, thank you for your super chat, Cruz. But the link, I just dropped it. If you're watching on X, you won't be able to see that. You'll have to come over to the YouTube stream. But you can join up here. It'll be a StreamYard link. You can stream it to your own channel as well if you want to. And you can share your thoughts. But let's see. He's saying, I needed God's mercy. I'm sorry.
But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
You're not asking for forgiveness, but you just asked for mercy. You just said sorry. I'm truly sorry. And then he hangs his head and sadly ends it. I'm just going to leave that facial expression up on the screen. But this is, I don't even want to say there's a lot to unpack here, right? But in my opinion, it almost would have been better if it was like a cheap press statement, one of the ones that sounds like it's written by ChatGPT, where we all know that, your PR person's going to have to issue this statement. And when that happens, right, when a PR person is releasing a statement on your behalf or whatever, there's a little bit of distance between yourself and the statement being released on your behalf. Obviously, you probably have some direction over it. But when you do a video like this on your own, and you never apologize during the time it was happening, or any of the times, because again, in this article here, in this statement that his attorney gives, he's saying for the past 6 months, Mr. Combs has been subjected to persistent demands. So you've had multiple opportunities to sit here, like bing, bang, bong. Cassie's coming at you and saying, look, like you took 10 years of my life from me. And whatever she's actually saying, I don't know how these private conversations went. But she could have been sitting there and just saying, like, you took so much from me. I'm trying to get a move on in my life. Like, I don't want to go public with this, but you really took something from me. We never finished my record label promise. You're supposed to put out 10 albums for me. And I didn't get any of that. And now I'm too old to go out and be the pop star that I could have been. Right? Like, something has to give here. This isn't fair. We don't know how that private type of arbitration may have gone. But in this statement from his lawyer, he's saying that for 6 months, it was persistent demands. To me, each one of those demands would have been an opportunity for Combs to say, oh, my bad. You know what? I'm sorry. I was pretty fucked up. I was in a dark place of my life. I was at rock bottom. I'm trying to change every day. I'm trying to speak to God. I'm disgusted then. And I'm disgusted now by what I did. But he didn't say any of that at any point in this 6-month period where Cassie was making the situation be at the forefront of his mind. Why not? If you're going to say in an apology video now that you felt disgusted when you did it. Why now? It just doesn't makes sense. And if he had just had a PR person release a statement on his behalf, maybe he doesn't want to speak at this time. You know, maybe even mentioning like, hey, he regrets some of the way that he behaved. And he's currently seeking treatment, whatever, and leave it at that. When you yourself get on a video and you start saying that in the past you already knew it was wrong, it makes everything you're saying now contemporaneously completely disingenuous. And what's even worse is, what's the real purpose? He has his own money and he already knows that there's his reputation would have been damaged, I would say kind of irreparably, just by the allegations. I think a lot of people believed Cassie at the start. I believed her at the start. If you guys follow my channel, I don't always just give full faith to an accuser, right? I don't always give full faith to the person filing a suit against somebody. But I believed Cassie. And then as soon as that Cassie lawsuit came out, all these other allegations started coming forward, right? Or not even coming forward. But there was a reignited speculation about certain things. I saw you guys mentioning in the chat, Kim Porter. You know, you have Keith D coming up for trial in November. He's saying, you know, Diddy tried to pay me to be his bounty hunter, essentially, right? So, you know, Keith D is the one that actually has to face charges because he's the one that pulled the trigger. But part of his allegation was that Combs was directing it, was ordering it, was supposed to pay for it. He's got all these stories surrounding him. But now you come out because of a CNN video and you say something. CNN drops this video, now you say something. Is he doing this to get his reputation back? Is he doing it for pity? Part of me has asked, is he doing this hoping Cassie sees this video? Does he still think he has this type of influence over Cassie? And he thinks that this apology video is going to make her feel bad? Like she did this thing to him, unduly so? What is his purpose of releasing this apology video now and in this way? And before I jump over to why I'm saying, is he doing this to get under Cassie's skin? Shout out to High Value Man. I have to go up and find your comment. I appreciate your support so much, and I'm so glad you could make it over to a live. I don't ever see you say much in the chat, so for you to send your support over with no comment, I appreciate that so much. It's really gratefully appreciated. I do put a lot of time into my other streams. This one is much more spontaneous. And the research I'm about to show is actually from an old video I did, but to see you come in on a live that I didn't put much prep work into, I really appreciate it because I do typically put a ton of time into the other videos I produce. So thank you so much and shout out to you. And then what am I talking about with Cassie? So sorry for the page 6 ads. They are a sister publication for the New York Post, so I'm sure the ads all over the page will surprise nobody. But that hotel video footage happened in March of 2016. In July, we have this speculation, right? This is a gossip tabloid. Whoever is noting this might not have been aware of what happened in March. And unfortunately, maybe them reporting on this could have led to something dangerous for Cassie, which is really unfortunate and sad to think about. But at the time, you know, it's a gossip tabloid looking for paparazzi pictures and news about celebrity relationships. It just says by page 16. It doesn't say who's putting this on blast. But you have to wonder if there's tabloids reporting that Cassie spotted flirting with someone other than Diddy. And this is just a few months after that March hotel surveillance footage. What if Diddy saw this? So in this article, have Diddy and Cassie split up? We hear that the pretty brunette singer was, quote, getting very flirty with another guy during a party for the new app MeWe, that's a throwback, at the Warwick in LA on Wednesday. She was looking this one guy up and down, giving him the flirty eye, says a witness. She was acting very much like a single woman on the prowl. The long-term couple had parted ways last December, but then got back together. So they broke up in December of 2015, then got back together. Some point this hotel footage happens, and then flash forward to July, We've got someone being spotted in the tabloids, and who knows exactly how true or how speculative this is. But in any case, can you imagine this being in the news? And maybe they are split up at this point, but Diddy's trying to have people contact you, chase you down. You went to go stay in another state with your mom to try to recover, move on, separate and detach yourself, and get out of that relationship while you were still in a contract. Not just for, your music to be produced, but also for talent management. There's like two different things in motion there that you're under contract to. You try to get away, and then you're in a news tabloid. Whether they were actually together or not at the timing of the sighting, can you imagine Diddy getting news of this? After knowing how he handled whatever he was mad about in that hotel footage, right? As he said, there's no excuse, it's inexcusable. Can you imagine him after trying to get Cassie to come back around for the next couple months? He sees this story, she's talking to somebody else. And unfortunately, they do get back together. Because what happens in August? What happens in August of 2016? Now, this was a TMZ exclusive. Cops called after breakup argument. And it was published, I didn't notice this, but it was published at 1 a.m. Pacific time. Diddy and Cassie have called it quits, implying that they were together, at least they didn't know a breakup happened before that. Following an explosive argument that ended with cops rushing to her home, TMZ has learned. Sources close to the couple tell TMZ they got into a heated argument in a car Wednesday afternoon after Cassie told Diddy she wanted to break up. Now, this is how TMZ is reporting it. TMZ is just relying on sources close to the couple. But this seems to match that story. I don't want to call it a story, but the storyline, the events as Cassie was telling it in her lawsuit. She felt like she had to get back together with him. He was persistent. He was sending people to call her constantly. It's in your best interest, with some of the verbiage used. It's in your best interest to get in touch with Diddy. And so at some point, somehow, some way, after she's possibly seen with somebody else in the summertime, by August 19th, she's close enough together that TMZ is characterizing it as, she wanted to break up with him. They're connecting at some point in August, and from what TMZ can tell, from what they're being told, this heated argument broke out in a car because Cassie told Diddy she wanted to break up. So we're told Diddy got pissed off and suspicious enough to grab her phone and start scrolling through. And I can make this bigger. I'm a boomer with this streaming. So now, according to this report and the sources, they're in the car and they're probably not driving, right? This isn't like a Rihanna Chris Brown where like Chris Brown's holding the wheel and maybe trying to grab the phone or whatever. They're probably in the backseat being chauffeured, so that's one plus, a very small plus out of all of this. Diddy gets pissed, grabs the phone, starts scrolling through it. Our sources say Diddy jumped out of the car in Beverly Hills, phone in hand, and she took off with the driver. Diddy eventually came home and returned the phone, but then took 2 cars parked outside. So remember, this starts at Cassie's house, which Diddy was paying for. According to the lawsuit, Cassie was living in a home that he paid for, and sometime after this point, she wants to get out of this house. She wants to get away. She gives up the cars that he gave her. She says, I don't want any of this. I'm done. But when this fight's happening in 2016, before that happens, he ends up at her house. They're in the car going somewhere. She's saying, look, I think we should break up, according to the sources. He grabs the phone, gets pissed. She gets home, or maybe she goes somewhere else. But Diddy pulls up to the house that he's technically paying for, apparently returns the phone, and then takes 2 of the cars parked outside. And if you're taking 2 cars, that means you've coordinated people to come pull up and drive it with you, or you're making multiple trips to do it yourself. So that's not like a private matter anymore. You're either out and about for 2 trips worth to do this, plus to get yourself back home, or get there from however, because she took the car with the chauffeur. Someone new who didn't just witness the fight in the car is driving you to go get those 2 cars. So, when you hear this, sources close, somebody probably had to have been aware besides Cassie, Diddy, and the chauffeur in their main car. So he comes and takes 2 cars. Cassie had told her mom about the phone incident before Diddy came home and returned it, and mom called the cops on him. So we had a lot of conversation this week about why didn't her family say anything? And we've heard, hey, look, we know that she went to stay with her family members. Her family members were trying to help her out, get back on her feet while she wanted to separate from him. Here, shout out to mom, because mom is the one that calls the cops. According to this article, mom is the one that calls the cops. Now, do you think at this point, if Cassie went to stay with mom after the March 2016 hotel video, this is now August 2016, mom would have seen the bruises, the injuries. So imagine your mom, you see your daughter trying to get away and separate. Maybe she's aware people are calling Cassie back and forth saying you've got to talk to Diddy, all that stuff that was going on. Then you hear somehow Cassie calls you and says, Mom, we got in a fight. I tried to break it off. He took my phone. This is what's happening. And mom just says, I'm done. I'm calling the cops. Like, shout out to mom. Because that may not have been an easy decision to make, right? There's, perceived risk. Cassie's living in a house that's paid for. There's the cars. To me, that suggests that Cassie had made it clear to her mom, I want to separate from this. And mom knew she had to step in. There was no way to keep this a private matter and her daughter to guarantee to be safe anymore. So mom calls the cops. So shout out to mom. So cops end up at Cassie's home, and she explained she got the phone back, so the cops left, but not before writing up a domestic incident report. However, we're told no crime was committed. Then TMZ says, as for the breakup, we're told they've done it before, Justin and Selena style, so who knows? So, this was really, when I saw this apology video, I thought back to these statements that Sean's team, Combs' team, had issued when Cassie's lawsuit dropped. And I said, let's put the context together and match what he's saying today, see how it lines up with what he said when Cassie went public with her claims, but it wasn't the first time she brought her claims to Diddy's attention. So again, very interesting that he's sitting there saying, I was disgusted then, and it was inexcusable, but you only seem to be trying to make an excuse for it right now in this video. And then the second layer, we see in the lawsuit that Cassie tried more than once to break up with Diddy, but she was stuck in the cycle, right? There's another police report from an instance where she was trying to break up with him after that hotel video had taken place. And it was mom that called the cops. It wasn't Cassie that called the cops. It was mom that called the cops, mostly because Diddy tried to take her phone. You would wonder at that point, maybe Cassie felt more comfortable calling her mom and freaking out about it. Because guess what? We know, or we've heard, also claimed by Cassie, and, it's true, Diddy's, Kid Cudi's car did blow up. Cassie says in her lawsuit that car was blown up by Diddy. And that Diddy wanted to arrange it so it would happen at a point in time where Cudi was home, and even worse, that Cudi had company over. His friends would be around when that car would just suddenly be blown up to send a really strong message. So what if Cassie, in this TMZ video, when she's telling her mom, her concern is about the phone? What if she was concerned that Diddy was just going to go look for people's cars to go blow up? People to send someone after? What if in this moment Cassie's concern was less even about herself, but more about him going after whoever she may have been dating when she tried to separate from him after the hotel video? When you think about this, isn't this... It all lines up with her lawsuit. Everything that she's put in it. I'm at a point where I don't doubt anything she put in there. I'll say I don't even think it was necessary in her lawsuit for her to go through, hey, I tried, I think she said she tried ecstasy for the first time. But then he was pressuring her into doing it. I don't even think all that's relevant at the beginning of their relationship. I think when you get to the meat and bones of that lawsuit, I think she was stuck in a cycle. I think he was very coercive whenever she tried to leave. And I really think he used threats against other people she may have cared about or he perceived were in the picture. Then not only did she have to fear about her own, not just her livelihood, her career, her own safety, but when she tried to leave, I fully believe he would use some type of manipulation or power tactics threatening other people to pressure her to cave in and come back to him. So that's why I wonder, is this video, in part, possibly, to guilt trip Cassie? What are you guys thinking? I see, oh, thank you so much. Oh, high value man again. Thank you so much. No need to apologize. Enjoying the content regardless. Well, I'm glad. I hope to keep bringing it. And thank you so much for your support. I heard you speak a lot of languages, and I don't think that you seem like the type of person that would ever want to get up on screen. But if you ever did want to come share your thoughts and reactions, you were always welcome to. And then shout out to the Dramac Show for the $4.99 super chat. It says, Diddy needs to be in jail with the exclamation. And that's another conversation too, right? Like, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Because LA is like, hey, there's a statute of limitations on assault and battery. But what if there's a potential RICO that could come out of it? You know, he's coordinating X, Y, and Z to be done. You know, I don't think he's completely off the hook for legality involving things that could pertain to Cassie specifically. I think there could be other avenues there. But Cassie's not the only one who's potentially a victim of something Diddy's been doing. So he could be got in another way. And I really think that if Cassie was supposed to be making these records, and his label, the label failed her, but the failure of the label really, you know, the proximate cause of that failure for her albums to get produced comes from Diddy. I think she deserves every penny, if not more, of that $30 million settlement. And we don't know if the settlement was actually $30 million, right? Do we? We just know that that's what she was asking for. The settlement may have been that amount. The settlement may have been less. I don't know if those terms are public, but I know she was asking for $30 million. So even if we assume it, she deserves every penny of it, because what could, forget the traumatic, the emotional damage, the loss of time. If an artist under Bad Boy Records, and she's pretty, she can sing, I like her voice, if she put out those 9-10 albums, do you think she would have made about $30 million just in earnings from revenue from an average performance across 9 to 10 albums? Like, economic damage from her not being able to put these albums out, to me, probably totaled to $30 million. I think she was asking for pennies. Pennies. In exchange and in comparison to what she was actually subjected to. And I don't really hold those views across every time I see a lawsuit come forward against somebody. I really don't. But I really believed Cassie, and I believe her more now. How could you not? And then I'm on my soapbox. If you guys want to come stand on business, stand on a soapbox, there is a StreamYard link again if you want to join. Until then, let me go back and see what you guys are saying in the comments. Juanita says he'd have to apologize to Cassie, his staff, Kim Porter, every artist he's screwed over, Tupac, Biggie, the entire Western Hemisphere. Oh, hey, we don't know with all this travel now. It might be both hemispheres. And then Murphs just says pants and fire. So pants on fire. And then, hey, Gigi, good to see you. So Gigi says, hi, cat and chat. It didn't feel genuine. And I think I saw Carol in here play the God card. Yep. So, hey, Carol. Carol says he's playing the God card, right? I've talked to God, as if that's the only person that you need forgiveness from. To me, what's that really inferring? It doesn't matter if I apologize to the people I actually inflicted harm upon. I'll put it on God. Like, don't give God that burden. No matter what God you believe in, don't give them that burden. And then I see Pam is here. Pam, thumbs up. You ready? And I should shout out, so Pam is doing a stream at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, right? So do your math on what time zone that is. And then, hey, Pam. So, Pam, introduce yourself to the chat. I'm going to pull up your channel link so I can drop it while you introduce yourself.
Hello, chat. I'm Pam. My channel is Pam Entertainment TV. I'm going to be talking about Mr. Diddy. I've got a stunt shows and shenanigans snippet. I think this is the most I've been online in a weekend for months.
Yeah, you've been pumping out the videos. So I was doing a bunch of errands. I was like trying to plant new seeds this morning. And I do my cleaning that I usually do on Saturdays. And I'm like, Pam has another stream. I got to be in there. Thank God it was a premiere and you weren't actually like live. But what do you think? What do you think with? You can give the summary of your apology, but what do you think in the context of, this little back and forth uncertainty on whether or not they're together anymore around this 2016 hotel incident, and then the other police report in August of 2016?
That was the first I heard of that one. The police report in August, but it seems like that was the beginnings of the end. I think during that video that we saw of her being brutalized, that was an attempt to leave. And there's differences between leaving and having a plan, a coordinated plan to leave, because when you're in those types of situations, you got to have a plan, because if not, these types of things that we saw in that video will happen to people. The apology, I don't think he was signaling Cassie. Cassie is gone. He does not hold any more control over Cassie. Cassie is gone. I think Diddy has a lot of corporate deals in the work, and he is thinking that if he does these things and say, oh, it was just a dark time, it was this little problem, that he can salvage these deals. Because the one thing we do know about Diddy has always been the face of something. He was the face of Bad Boy. He was the face of Ciroc. He was the face of Sean John. He was the face of all of these different things. So his face and who he was and the persona that he built around himself was the cachet that he had to get these deals, to make this money, to do the things that he had to do. And so now you're starting to see that crack of the persona that he built versus the person that he was. You're now seeing that crack, that there's a crack now, and you're starting to see the person that he is, and the person, well, according to him in his apology, the person that he was. And he's and
his rock bottom, as if this isn't his rock bottom, because now he's caught.
And yeah, that too. And also too, like I've said before, this man has had several iterations of himself. He went from Puff to Puff Daddy to Diddy to...
Yeah, why were you remaking yourself? That sounds like it could be an existential crisis, right? What was causing that?
Yeah. And again, all of that, because I think probably he builds his personalities. And so if he changes his name, that kind of distanced him from whatever he did when he was Puffy. When he became Puff Daddy, that distanced for him from being Puffy. Then he became Diddy, that distanced him from whatever he did was as Puffy, as Puff Daddy. Now he's Diddy. And then he turned around and then he's Brother Love. So all of that brother love and peace, love and kindness and all of this other stuff, that's going to distance him from all those different people. Because now, because technically,
sounds like a guilty conscious name.
Exactly. And how best to do that by severing your ties with whoever that person was. And you do that first, I guess, for him by creating this new persona. because because I even think about, because I couldn't figure out when the brother love came, because I remember Kim Porter passed away, and then I remember Cassie, because Kim Porter passed away and Cassie leaving for good, I think was around in the same year. Was that like 2018, 2019? I can't remember when she passed away.
It was around that time. Well, I know Kim Porter was they said she had pneumonia or something. And I heard you mention that it was maybe possibly COVID. Would that have been 2020 then? Let me just Google it.
It was no, I think it was 2019. And the reason me personally thought
2018, November 15th, 2018. But
2018,
Cassie
okay.
started to go her separate ways in 2018. Yeah.
Okay. And Kim Porter passed in 2019, right?
No, Kim Porter dated November 15th, 2018.
Oh, okay. So
Although
then,
this article, hold on, this article now is written on January 25th, 2019. Oh, because they gave the cause of death in January as
okay,
being pneumonia.
in
So
2019. Okay, so then that just, because I don't know why I thought she died in late 2019, because I was thinking, well, she may have had, going back and forth and stuff like that, because at that time, we were outside back then, so she could have gone and come back and possibly had COVID. But I read somewhere, one of her friends was talking about how Puffy was treating her then, and what I did not know is that she took a corkscrew and jammed it in his hand. He almost left this world, because she
yikes.
nicked that whatever that little artery was in
Yeah,
there.
there's important stuff in unexpected places.
Yeah, and so but again, just getting back to, you could just kind of tell when these new names showed up, it seems like new personalities, or he was trying to distance himself from whatever mess was going on over here to be this new person, but he's actually not new. It's just his personality, his face, because again, his cachet came from, he was the face of something. He was always that big person that was out front, because when you start thinking about his business dealings, none of his artists, I don't see any of his artists that would
Yeah, they're not the notoriety. They're
no,
always like shown with him rather
yeah,
than, it's just their moment to shine.
because even when you think about big moguls like that and things like that, I think back to like when Berry Gordy was getting all of his accolades. The people that were on his label, they always came out and supported when he had something going on. I remember, what was
Yeah.
this, when he got when he got this award? I don't even think 2 or 3 people that were on his team at that point came to celebrate with him and all of these little different things. So the apology.
Well, and then the other weird thing is he has all of this. It almost seems like if he's not the face, he's showing up with an entourage. It's never someone from his entourage being the face. But then he gets in this relationship, and I'm really not trying to say I know much about the City Girls and JT and Carisha and Young Miami. Carisha, Young Miami, I'm just going to say Carisha. But, she's quite a bit younger than him. He's aging at this point, and it almost seems like when they started dating, I would see more from her coming across X, and I'm not intentionally following this stuff. Before the Cassie lawsuit, this stuff would come across my timeline, and I'm not really immersed in stan culture. I don't follow the City Girls, but I would see these tweets from Carisha that it would seem like she's speaking in a very like aggressive way, saying something about Diddy in a way that's like kind of making the implication that if you're not with the shits like I am, you're out there. You're not in the club with us. Right? It's just been some like weird stuff I've seen come from Carisha's end.
It's not weird for her, because I don't follow them too, but you do understand that Carisha is just out of jail, not even 3 or 4 years, because she was in jail for a period of time, and JT was out here performing at the clubs and doing everything she needed to do, because I think Carisha was in jail for check fraud or some kind of stuff. I think she was in jail for 2 or 3 years. So
obviously money is the motive if it's
right.
check fraud. It's not just like punching someone.
It was almost like, I think her and her mother were in jail in tandem. So she is about that type of life. If he had met Carisha, if she would have been 15, 20 years older, and he had met Carisha, that they would have been a power couple, because they all a little shady, allegedly. But
and 10 albums, you think? You think there's like a 9-10 album promise there in that relationship?
No, I think she is one of those there, and we have to be very cognizant of it. She is one of those young ladies that as long as she gets the money, as long as she gets the purses, the bags, the clothes, the lifestyle, she don't care what's really going on. She don't really care, she doesn't care one way. As long as she's getting her needs are being satiated, that's the way she appears to me. If her needs are being satiated, she's good. She's good. She's
And
good.
obviously, there's also the possibility that, someone isn't treating the next person the same way they treated the last person, right? So maybe she's not on the receiving end of any
Diddy,
of this type of thing.
55 years old. Diddy,
He's
honestly,
too tired. She turned
he's
around and beat him
like
right back.
he's not going to be able to keep up. And I know a lot of men, a lot of men love to say, I love the younger women and I can do this and they make me feel. Realistically, honey, Carisha could probably go 48 hours straight and Diddy will be in jail. Diddy will be in bed after 12 hours.
Knocked out.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm just saying, I just think she's just one of those young ladies that's like that. Young ladies like that exist. They truly, truly do. But for, I did that last stream and you juxtapose, because I just read her lawsuit up until that particular point, and you read it, and then even as you're reading it, you're looking like, wow, that is almost like and I know she was there, and y'all don't mishear me when I say this, but it was almost like she had an outer body experience and she was play by play going over what she saw, like she was hovering from, you know what I'm saying, hovering from above. And I read that stuff and I just got, I felt real sad. I was like, wow. And then you run around here saying, putting posts up like that
It's
didn't happen.
blackmail.
It's
Yeah.
blackmail. It's stuff like that. And now we see you with your eyes being too close together where I can't read his face. Because seriously, I can't read his face.
It's
because
killing me the
I
way
can't read it.
he ended this video. That's the freeze frame that the video ends on, is just like this sad, like, woe is me.
That doesn't look sad as woe as me. That just was
Well,
like,
yeah, not genuinely. This looks like,
that
if you see an emotion, act this emotion out. Act out sad. And you put on your acting sad face.
that don't even look like that. You know what that looks like? That is the F word. And you after you say it,
You might be right.
and you
might
clench
be
your
right.
mouth. That's what that looks like. That's what that looks like.
Like he's gonna get done and be like, I can't believe I had to record all this.
Right. That's what that looks like. That looks like.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, that's what that looks like. Because see, now the image that you have put out to us, the image that you have put out to the public, there's the crack. It's in it. It's like a pretty mask. Those masks that people can buy, and it's like those, what do you call it? The porcelain mask.
You mean the one that's like sometimes it's painted where you can see like one side versus the other?
Well, he keeps a full face, so it's like a full face mask that's like that white painting with the little cheeks that have like the little dash of blush, and it's a nice, beautiful mask that they have, and now it's like somebody has hit it with the hammer, and you see a little crack right here. That crack is starting to show, and his face is starting to his true persona is starting to ooze out. It's starting to ooze out, because all of these qualities that we are hearing, he was able to take those qualities and make them, he's a good businessman, he gets what he wants. He knows how to make sure that people do that. And then when you read the lawsuit, when he first meets her,
when you can't be a bad boy image anymore if you have to make an apology video, but you have to make this apology video because you took what, bad boy is not supposed to mean, going around and assaulting the girl you're dating. Bad boy would be if someone steals your girlfriend's purse and you chase them down and get it back, right? That's a little bit more what bad boy is supposed to mean. You took it to another definition that nobody agrees with.
Yeah.
And now you have to apologize, which is not a very bad boy behavior. So his brand is just...
That's my point. The brand of Diddy, the brand of Sean Combs is crumbling. Is crumbling, because now you're starting to look at those other lawsuits and start, because like if you read this and you were someone who lived out in the sticks and you read something like this, you would think, oh, that is just too much. Nobody would do this. But now that you see this, you look at Little Rod's lawsuit, and I'm like, where's this young man that got shot? Where is this man?
the other like parties from the record label are dropped out as parties now. It's Diddy, Diddy, Diddy. It's not Diddy and the management and the label. It's
him.
The one person.
Yeah. And because I couldn't find, I have been trying to find this young lady on YouTube. And that's the thing about when you see something and I didn't save it. But she mentioned something about a lot of those companies and things, they have like a clause in there, like when the CEO or somebody does something, there's some type of,
Non-disparagement.
is that what it is? It's some kind of
Yeah.
insurance, it's some kind of stuff. And I was thinking probably that's what they're getting him on. They're getting him away from their company because his personal antics is causing irreparable harm to their business. And they'd rather cut ties with him than to sit here with those other things. Now, I don't know how this is working with the Little Rod lawsuit, but it's that part of that is very, very interesting. So his billionaire status is about to crack, because if he's having to pay out lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, it's going to be something serious. What is this?
So it's speaking on brand, and we're going to read it in a second, but I do want to get over, and I want to say hi to Ron Alexander. It is so nice to see you over in this chat here. Guys, Ron is someone that I see often. You guys hear me say all the time, I love to be in the chat room. It's my favorite YouTube feature. I make videos on some things I don't see other people talking about, or to create a chat room for you guys to come hang out in. But when I'm not on screen, it's my favorite place to be, the chat room. And I love running into Ron over in other chats and other channels. So Ron, I am so glad to see you here. And I'm also so grateful that you are sending a super chat and subscribing yourself. And then I also see that High Value Man made it rain, 50 memberships. So if you got one, make sure you're saying thank you. You can just put HVM in the chat. That's his nickname, High Value Man. So drop an HVM, say thank you in the chat room if you got a gift from HVM. And then also he had you give 50 memberships, but it doesn't give you one. So you had to become one on your own. So, the odds of that, you lost out on your own odds. So guys, just so you know, with YouTube gifting, they select people randomly. It's not like the person giving the gifts gets to choose, I want to give 10 gifts and I can choose 10 people. YouTube randomly decides. And you do have to have the feature turned on. You can turn on the ability to accept gifted memberships by clicking the little money symbol next to where you type your YouTube chats. Now, High Value Man went and gave 50, and there were about 100 people watching this. Some of them are on X. They're not even in YouTube. And YouTube selected everybody but him to give a membership to. He had to get a separate one and become a member on his own. So that's, the odds. Don't go play the lotto today, High Value Man. But thank you so much for your support. It is so great to see you guys in here, both of you. I love seeing you guys in other places, mostly on TLA, the lead attorney's channel, AV to the 7th power. And I think, Ron, I've seen you in other channels. One other channel I'm thinking of, but I'm not exactly sure. I just remember thinking, oh my God, it's Ron over here in this other channel. Maybe Phil Holloway somewhere. I'm not really sure. But thank you so much for your support, both of you, for supporting this live stream. And then to get back to on brand, Pam, you're nailing it on the head on how this impacts brand, and you're trying to salvage what you might have left. But Revolt, who already severed their ties with Diddy, is like so disgusted and put back by what's going on with this Diddy video that was released by CNN that they make this statement. And they say, we are deeply saddened and disturbed by the recent video circulating of our former chairman, Sean Diddy Combs. Even with his recent separation from Revolt, it is still our duty to address this matter and recognize the direct impact it has on our staff, our audience, and the culture we represent. So, this whole video is so bad that people are doubly distancing themselves.
Oh, yes.
They're taking 2 times initiatives to distance themselves from Diddy. We've severed our ties, it's gone, but we still feel the need to come out here and say, we just want to reiterate that this is horrible. That's what Diddy is currently up against as he makes his video.
Whoever is, because that he has other deals and things like that out here, you're gonna see, if he has not already spoken about them, you're gonna see those people either quietly remove ties with him or publicly like remove ties with him. Because again, this, I mean, it's one thing to see it on paper. It is another thing to see it live. And people my age will hear this live, not Memorex. It's a different thing to see it, to see it live and see it, not just hearing somebody say that they know that this is going on. That's one whole thing you can believe. But to see, number one, do you know how unhinged you are, but in control of you being unhinged, when you can run out of a room with a towel wrapped around you in your socks, and you are kicking and punching, and you don't lose that towel off your body?
Well,
But
and then can I tell you that, like, one of my, like, intrusive thoughts is the idea, well, if I sleep naked and someone breaks into my house and I gotta fight, I'm already at a disadvantage because my bare skin is out, right?
right.
But he runs butt ass naked out of the, because, like, a towel, what does a towel really do? Yeah, he's holding it there, but I mean, if she reacted at all and even tried to grab at something, I mean, it would have been gone. And you're just like bare skin at that point. That's reckless. You can't tell me that that's not 100% reckless. You're just bolting out on, like, wild instinct, guttural instinct, and just running on out there.
And then I'm wondering too, because I don't want anybody to think that I am a Monday morning quarterbacking, but I did find out later that he would rent out the whole floor. And so I was wondering, because you remember when she got to
So
the
he thought no one would see it, except he has to go buy this footage in case there's footage.
exactly, because there, because
That's true.
what I was
And-
looking for. Yeah, somebody says that he buys out the whole floor, because she was right there, and she was right there. Now I do understand that she did leave, but she did come back. And one of the things I wish the lawyer friends would be here, because you were talking about her with this incident, and that California says that they can't try it because of the statutes of limitations. But I'm wondering if it was coupled with the fact that, because I don't know if they mentioned it in the lawsuit or anything like that, but I'm wondering if it was coupled with the quote unquote freak offs, and him coercing her to have sex with other people, and she was trying to leave, and then the violence happened after she's trying to leave from having these freak offs. Because I did see something on one of these sites.
Yeah, like, what if he was in, like, the shower cleaning up after one of them or something, and that's when she, like, gets her hoodie and her purse. Guys, I'll be honest, when you stay in a hotel, if you drop your stuff down, it doesn't take that. She only had, like, what looked like a purse and a smaller little bag, right?
Person's
It wasn't like she
shoes.
had luggage. It wasn't.
No, she had like
shoes.
person's shoes. She had purse, because the reason why she was crouched down is because she pressed the button and she was trying to put on her shoes, and he sprinted. So they had a room way down the hallway to, where you had to run around a corner and run around a corner and then run around another corner to get to the elevator. So she made it to that spot, pressed the button, she put it on the shoes. He came out of the room, he was sprinting. So he didn't give enough time for the elevator to come up. But you see what I'm saying? But you're sprinting.
Well, so it's either she had luggage and didn't care to take it, right? She said, "Screw that luggage, I'm leaving it," or she was only there for a visit, which could have been for what purpose, right? Or when I go to a hotel, right? I mean, they're staying in expensive places. That doesn't matter. There can always be bed bugs. I don't unload my purse. My purse is ready for me to run out of there. She
Let me put it to you
probably
this way.
could have just ran quickly.
Right.
Honey,
that's all they probably had, because again, they were living in California and they were at a California hotel. So she probably didn't have luggage because it was just for the freak off. So they just went in for something for that night and they were supposed to go back home. So I don't think she had luggage. I think she just had her purse and her shoes and the clothes that she wore. She put on her purse, she had her clothes, and she ran. But this mofo ran after her naked with a towel and some pink fruity socks.
hold on. I see. Let me give Dre the link. I see Dre asking. So Dre, I just dropped the link to jump up here in the chat. I think it was way behind. And High Value Man says unhinged is an understatement about running out with the towel. Ron says, I don't think I could run that fast, even fully clothed. And
He
then
was
Eliza's
sprinting.
saying also Diddy buys the whole floor. And that's another crazy part about it, because to me there's this air like especially if you want to like smoke or whatever, you're buying the whole floor. You may want a room with a balcony. If you have the money, you're probably looking for like corner view, whatever. But that's usually up higher floor, which means what about that elevator? If the elevator's just sitting, it's either being used by floors that are populated lower down because that's what they're going to fill first for regular budget bookings, or it's sitting in the lobby because the last person to use it got out in the lobby, and Cassie has to wait. If she was on like maybe floor 2, floor 3, that elevator door could have opened and she could have been out. But you're speaking about someone with money that's probably booking 10th, I don't know how tall the building is, but 6, 7, 10, 15, 20 floors up, that elevator takes twice, 3 times as long.
I know.
So
I wish she knew where the
she could
stairs
have
were.
just
I wish she knew where the
juked.
stairs were. Oh, if she could have found the stairs, oh, she could have just went down 2 floors.
And can you imagine someone like a maintenance worker trying to climb up the stairs, and you see like someone just walk by in a hoodie like they're about to go get something to eat, you don't think anything of it, but you're still climbing up, and then you look up and you get like Diddy's crotch view because he's running down with a towel above you on the stairs. Let me bring Dre in the perfect timing. Hey, Dre.
What's up, y'all?
Hey,
I'm
hey.
driving, so I'm not going to be
Oh, yeah.
that long. I'm on my way to work. But I just wanted to make this statement, is that I'm very disappointed in the legal system in LA. And the reason why is because the statute of limitations of this young lady getting whooped on in a hotel by a half-naked man, and they can't do anything, is abysmal. Because you see how LA County, had no problem going after Bill Cosby and stuff that happened in the 70s.
I think they'll find another, if they want to, they will find a way to bring charges, right? And that's really what we'll see, because with other cases, yeah, maybe we can't technically get you on battery and assault, but there should be something else. Is there a statute of limitations on him going and paying the hotel security, right? There's got to be something they can tack on with that would fall within... I don't know what that would fall under.
They don't have a statutes of limitations about aggravated R word and those things, and that's why I was asking, the lawyer
what was
people,
occurring,
and this happened when she's trying to that bodily harm happened when she was trying to get away. So I am curious. I'm curious if there was somebody else in the room that can speak up for that. But yeah, I'm with you on that one. If you can find ways to do that, you can definitely figure out, because there seems to be, all you have to do is go back and read a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that would be different states too, right? Because one of the hotels was in Georgia, it was an Atlanta hotel, it was New York. So,
but in that particular hotel at that particular time, that freak off was happening.
But if there were multiple freak offs, what I'm saying is, like, even that specific, we don't need March to come out with any deeper of a story, because she alleges, other freak off. I'm pretty sure one was specifically in Atlanta, but I think she alleged other stuff happened in a New York City hotel as well. I think it was more, I remember her mentioning like doing drugs in a New York City hotel, and they were going out to dinner or something. I have to revisit what she alleges actually took place that night. But I'm sure they were in New York more than once. If this is just kind of like a regular thing happening all the time, I'm sure it'll come out. And I had seen news that, the feds are still interviewing more than one woman, right? And a few males. So they were appearing in New York to speak at one of the field offices. So that was really the vague information that I had. They're not like naming names on who's talking or talking about it, but that stuff's still underway. And Dre, like, a RICO can be dangerous, right? Like, a RICO, there's a conspiracy, you can just say, here's a bunch of overt acts, we're going to tack it all on, and we're going to move forward with it. And I think any prosecutor in any district would be pretty well inclined to want to take this forward at this point in time. Even if we think that Diddy may have had his hands, like Little Rod alleged that he paid off LAPD in relation to that bathroom shooting, right? So, but now we're kind of at a point where if you were paying people off several years ago and you had a lot of power, well, now everybody's trying to distance themselves from you. And that probably includes people that aren't just celebrities or in your record label or in your staff. This could be law enforcement that now no longer wants to be on the wrong side of things that you're doing that they may have been complicit in protecting at other points in time. So I'd be surprised if this is the last we see on it from Los Angeles, let alone another area.
And I'd be curious the fact that also too, that what I do know is that a lot of Los Angeles police officers moonlight as security in different places, clubs and hotels. Who are you paying off? Because I do remember somebody had put it down in here that his chief of staff, Diddy's chief of security or something like that, had made mention about having good relations with the people, with the police department. So I am curious who was working that night and all this other stuff, because I still do think that she needs to have a lawsuit against that hotel, particularly when she said in the lawsuit that the hotel staff was telling her, don't go back upstairs, don't go back
in the
upstairs.
cab.
So that clearly lets me know that somebody on there saw it. And was there no protocols when you see something like that? Why was the police not called after you saw that? If you had enough,
or maybe they were, and this is just like, so yours sounds like the most common sense expectable pathway, but if we're talking about someone who someone else is alleging paid off police to say, hey, this was just a drive-by, we didn't shoot this guy in the bathroom or anything with just 3 of us in the room, this was a random drive-by shooting, and this guy's gonna take the fall, and the police, they're gonna go with it. What if the police showed up to the hotel and there was some type of choice to not report at that point in time, right? So maybe there were 1 or 2 hotel members that thought they were doing the right thing. They went about their business. They thought the police came. They thought everything would be squared away. And then one hotel staff worker decides, oh, you want to give me money to get this tape for you? All right. Because Cassie knew at the time of that filing that the tape existed.
mm-hmm.
She knew when she wrote that lawsuit, which means she either became aware at some point, either that day or sometime between then and filing the lawsuit, that this tape existed and somebody was paid to do something with it, and that someone still actually had access to it. So did someone make a copy? If you look, it's not a phone recording. It's not like someone like went up to the hotel security screen and recorded it. It's the actual stable square thing. So did someone copy it? Did Diddy have it and hold on to it like some kind of trophy and then they seized it? Did someone make their own copy?
If I'm not mistaken, didn't they say that this was part of the Fed's investigation and they actually had the tape? And the Feds are actually the ones that leaked it?
I think that's very likely, but I also think that's only speculative. Which would be very interesting to me if the Feds want to leak that one thing. Or if anything, right, it could be one person that's doing the investigation that decided to take it and get it over to CNN without compromising or having it be identified that it came from this raid. Like, rather than all the feds saying, all right, we're going to sign over on this release to CNN, which I don't think they as a whole could do. It could be someone acting rogue that would turn it over. Right? Because for that time, it should be public. It should be, it's not really public records, technically. I think it's possible that whoever had a copy of this tape, whether it's someone that knew Diddy had it, maybe the bodyguard, security, because as Eliza's saying in the chat, his bodyguard is spilling the beans on the YouTube channel, The Art of Dialogue. I think there was also a Vlad TV interview where his former bodyguard was saying things, and then Cassie mentions this bodyguard in her lawsuit. I don't know if the Art of Dialogue ex-bodyguard is the same one that did the Vlad TV interview a few years ago, but in the lawsuit, Cassie mentions the same one that did the Vlad TV interview. Why would she name him in the lawsuit? I feel like that guy may have been the one that Diddy said, yo, man, go take care of this. Gave him a stack to go pay off the security at the hotel, which means what? That's the third person that's not Cassie or Diddy that knows that this tape was paid off for and knows that a tape exists. Even if he wasn't in the room or the hallway to see this chase take place, I think maybe this same Vlad TV guy was aware of it. And he said himself, hey, I took things because I wanted to have evidence. I wanted to be able to, maybe make some money off this stuff. I think it's really possible that he's the one that could have been told. Because you think Diddy went down himself to stand in the lobby and said, I want to speak to the manager and get this tape. He probably had one of his people do it, as he's always having do. So I'm
And
wondering if that person is the one with the copy.
Well, I just wanted to say, because I got to get ready. Like I said, I'm in the car, just pulled up to my job. So I just want to say Diddy needs to go to jail. I'm going, I think once I get off of work, I'm gonna make a short videos because somebody was trying to compare this to the Jonathan Major situation. And I'm like, no, you have a guy running around in his cell whooping somebody,
Who's
and
running
you have
away
somebody in hot
in the Jonathan
pants.
Majors video?
Right, right. Somebody running away from somebody in hot pants. You know what I mean? They're not the same, and I want to hear, because they said that there's some things that's going on in New York. I want to hear Alvin Bragg. I
Yeah,
want
are
to
you going to
hear
prosecute this? Because you sure Alvin
exactly.
Bragg ran and prosecuted all of the accusations against. Oh my God, what was that prosecutor's name? That the chick wrote Reagan Seeley wrote a Medium blog, claiming to be, it was a Boston prosecutor. Oh my God,
On you talking about Adam Foss?
Foss, Adam
Adam
Yeah,
Foss.
Foss,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that was
on Adam
Alvin
Foss.
Bragg running to prosecute him for a blog post from like 5 years prior, 6 years prior, about like a 2017 incident. And he was acquitted. The guy we're talking about was acquitted on all charges, guys. I have a video on it. Adam Foss, Foss, Adam Foss prosecutor. It was another big shot prosecution that Alvin Bragg thought he was running. He made press statements about it, just like he did with Jonathan Majors. Not every case gets a press statement, let alone a misdemeanor case. But Adam Foss was one of them because he's, what's juicier than a prosecutor, former prosecutor that's doing TED Talks and teaching people about prosecutorial misconduct. Let's get him. That's salacious. What about a Marvel actor? Let's do a press statement on that about his misdemeanor. That's going to get attention, right? All these politicized prosecutions, I would argue. So where is Alvin Bragg if some of this stuff that's in Cassie's lawsuit took place? You're not going to pursue something that is being alleged in a lawsuit, but you'll pursue something that was posted on a Medium blog. That was, if you watch my video on that, the girl tells on her own lie in her Medium blog post. So you could read her blog post in full and see she was lying because she contradicts herself by something she says. But they decided to prosecute her about this blog post. What are you going to do about these things coming forth in Cassie's lawsuit, which is a bit different than an internet blog post?
Exactly.
You're right, Dre.
So I need Alvin Bragg to go out there, go after Diddy, just like how he went after Adam Foss and Kevin Porter Jr. and Jonathan Majors. And then also, this is a real victim. Cassie is a real victim. These are the women who need to be protected. You know what I mean? These are the type of women that need to be protected. It was so heartbreaking to see this. And then to just suppose that with somebody getting on the stand and saying this person is going to do it again and again with no priors. And you see exactly what Diddy did on camera. So I got to go. I love you, Pam. Kat,
Have a
thank
good
you
day
so
at
very
work.
much.
Guys, Dre's
And
channel is in the chat. So hit that link, subscribe to Dre's channel, and come back and chat. Have a good day at work,
I'll holler
Dre.
at you guys later.
Bye
Thank you.
bye. I'm wondering, because again, I think Diddy, like you said, he's not going to be the person going down there handling the stuff. I'm wondering that the people who were handling the stuff, I'm wondering if they kept a copy because they knew that when stuff hit the fan, he's going to say, I don't know nothing about it. I don't have anything. I don't know anything about it. I didn't do this. And these are like little itty bitty insurance policies. So I'm wondering if behind the scenes within his group, is it fracturing, and you see people are leaving and leaving this group or anything like that? Because if your own children are snitching and ratting you out in rap songs, rap diss tracks to the feds and to 50 Cent, talking about, y'all raided this house, you should have raided the house next door because that's where all the stuff was at. If they're betraying you, I'm quite sure your staff, there's cracks in your staff at this point.
Oh, and it's, if you're the type of person that's moving through a bunch of artists and you have a bunch of staff for all of them and you fire one artist, part of your team gets severed sometimes when that artist goes. So if you're constantly cutting ties with an artist, some of his making the band people had issues with him, right? And they cut ties. Sometimes that part of the management team goes too. So you can have hostility from those ancillary employees that were attached to a talent that you cut. let
Mm-hmm.
alone just the angst from the actual celebrity themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you never know. There's so many cooks in the kitchen that could have said this. The other thing, guys, is, you know, something like this video, high profile, right? Everyone's going to watch it. CNN plastered the exclusive all over it. I'm sure that if somebody wanted to get paid for this video, it's the type of thing that CNN would pay 5 or even 6 figures for this video. Does that mean the person wanted payment for it? No, that doesn't necessarily mean that. But it is, if you're going to an outlet like CNN, this isn't someone that's offering you, you know, $500 for your video footage of the streets flooding from a storm. They see your post on X and write, hey, can we use your footage? No, this is a little bit different. So there could be a monetary incentive here. But it also could have been someone that simply said, look, there's not enough motion in all this stuff. This raid happened a few months ago. It's just kind of sitting there. And then there's issues with another lawsuit, right? So Diddy has that lawsuit where he's being sued by someone that was 17 and or she was in college or something, and says, hey, he treated me, it was sexual assault and a bunch of other things. It's a civil filing with actions that are typically criminal, could be criminally prosecuted if not outside the statute of limitations. But in it, there's some inconsistencies that were recently pointed out because she's trying to sue entities that didn't exist at the time it happened. So maybe someone saw a case like that and felt like, look, I don't know exactly what happened to this girl, but nobody's talking about the Cassie thing anymore. It was settled. This raid, nothing seems to be coming from it. So maybe someone just has that like burning in their heart that's like, I don't want him to get away with nothing being done. So whoever had this tape could have just said, you know, fingers in the air, we're doing this. Like, it could have just been that without any monetary incentive. And I'm going to choose CNN because I know they have wide reach, right? It really could go either way. And what does that say about someone as a person? If it's possible they didn't do it for money, they're doing it for the, like, you're not going to get away with this. Right. What does that say about how people feel about Diddy?
And also too, I'm wondering too, is it signaling? Because I'm curious to see next week what the rumble is going to be about hotels buying out floors, footage, you seeing crimes happening. I'm wondering if this is a signal to different hotels and hotel chains that he has stayed in different places, that y'all need to get ahead of this kind of stuff, because if we find out that there's something happened and something else happened, even I know this Intercontinental Hotel, they say that it doesn't exist. They said that they were not
those property management companies own like multiple buildings. They close one down for some chapter something bankruptcy, use that money to buy more property. There could still be a common thread where that's
exactly
it exists, even if the liability is severed.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is like a little whistle to somebody, like, look, y'all got this stuff, or saying like, hey, we're just letting you know that we have this information. Y'all need to come forward if y'all got anything going on, because this is going to be interesting. I said in my stream, I'm wondering if something like this that we get out of understanding that this happens and then kind of making it seem like this is like the norm, and saying, hey, this is not the norm. This is not what we need to sue. And there should be consequences up and down that whole thing, from Diddy the head and those damned enablers, those people that knew. Because when she started talking about music executives telling her, you need to call Puffy because if you want your album or your record to come out, you need to go talk to him. You need to go talk to him.
If you don't want someone else's car getting blown up. Like, exactly. What else are we not supposed to take at face value now that we know that this was true exactly the way Cassie laid it out in the lawsuit? Like, I really think it's not just the risk of your own safety. I'm the type of person, like, I don't really think it's where I can pick my own battles. Things aren't worth it for me, but sometimes I get like extra enraged when it's on someone else's behalf. And can you imagine being in Cassie's shoes when the on someone else's behalf could involve their personal safety, someone's car getting blown up, right. She put in the lawsuit the thing about, with Shine and J-Lo and the purse. She mentioned that in the suit. Even though it's not particularly relevant to her own, what she's alleging in her time frame happened, she included it to say, this is the type of thing I had to be in fear of.
Because do you think about it? If something happens, I remember what happened with Shine and all them, but I don't know all the particulars. But I do remember someone saying allegedly that J-Lo was the one that brought the gun in, because it was in her purse. So if it's believable there, it is believable that he would put a gun in her purse. It's also another way uh to keep her tied in, because if something happens, he could say, it wasn't my gun. She's the one that brought it in. She's the one, that's her gun. It's her stuff, to keep her tied into, if something happens, she's always going to be tied into it some kind of way.
Yeah, I think part of that is like, listen, guys, when I go through security somewhere, and this is bad, I wish I had like a prop to show you, but I get like a boop, boop, flashlight in my purse really quick. And, if I'm working in an event, I have pamphlets in there. I've got like note cards. I've got business cards. Like, there's stuff in my bag, and they don't shuffle through it to see what else is under it or in there. They go, boop, boop, let me go through. But if you're a guy, and my pat down is the wand, right? Some places don't even do the wand. But with a guy, you might actually get patted down, your holster, your groin, see if you're carrying something. So it's not like that uncommon, the idea of someone trying to sneak in their protection. Maybe not for anything nefarious. They're not going in there to plan to cause a ruckus and to be on the offensive. But sometimes people would say, I don't want to go anywhere without personal protection because I don't know what someone else will do. And maybe you just slip it in someone's purse because it's not going to be checked the same way that a guy is going to be patted down walking into a club.
Right.
Especially a guy that may be typecasted, stereotyped more than a pretty girl would be, right? Pretty girl in a little slim dress, probably not the one packing heat, but that's the other thing. Like you get into those types of conversations where you think like, why did Cassie include this in the suit? Well, the point wasn't that J-Lo was just carrying it because I don't want to go anywhere without the opportunity to protect myself.
Right.
He went there that night, that specific night that she was talking about, on the offense. Like that was really what Cassie was getting at by including that story in the suit. He went there on the offense, not just, I always carry my gun with me and screw if there's supposed to be a rule here. I'm only using it in self-defense. Cassie was saying this was an offensive night, an offensive scenario. And with the Shine story, it was, the situation where Shine takes the fall. Yeah. Diddy's in the clear. Shine does the time. Diddy is the one that was pulling the strings.
Yeah. And she mentioned in there too, and I don't know if this was the same night or if this was the same reason, but she talked about that they were at home, and then when they found out that Suge Knight was at a diner somewhere, they loaded up.
We gotta go.
Yeah.
He ran down the hall. He pulled the towel and he ran out to that car and said, "Where's Suge at?"
Anyway. Well, Miss Cat, I'm gonna have to exit your stream because I'm gonna
toodle up out of here. I am going to drop your channel one more time. You are welcome to say your goodbye. I'm gonna grab your channel, put it in the chat. All right, y'all. We'll wrap it up.
I've got a video coming out. We've got Stunt Shows and Shenanigans, a snippet coming out at 7:30 this evening. We are just gonna go over Little Rod's.
That's Central Time, right?
Central Time, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. We're gonna go over. We're gonna talk about the drug mule. Talk about the little sweet deal that he got. We're going to also go back over this Little Rod's lawsuit and Tyrone Blackburn. Let me just put this out there. If you're listening, and I wouldn't even begin to be all hoity that you are, but I'm going to need you to write your lawsuits and have an addendum in the back with all the pictures and stuff. Please stop putting it in the main stuff because I can't show it on the screen with all that stuff that you have put in there. Thank you for having visual aids, but put them visual aids in the back and in the.
Or give like a whole page buffer, when it's like a new exhibit, there's a page that just says Exhibit A, and then it shows Exhibit, and then Exhibit B. Give us a page buffer that says, hey, because you're going to give us the warning, sensitive content warning or whatever at the beginning of your suit. Give us a little.
Give us buffer. Something in the middle, because that DJ Academics one, he didn't give us a warning, and I was like, when I read that, I was like.
Yeah, I tried. I was like, guys, I'm going to show it on the screen now. But, you don't always know if you skim through a video and just jump to a section that looks like the most replayed. You know how YouTube shows you the most replayed?
Mhm.
If you go, oh, let me go there, and it's the exact moment the picture's there. But I won't hold you. Pam's channel link is in the chat. Pam, 7:30 p.m. Central, another video going into the Little Rod Suit, revisiting that with everything that's come out this week, and a ton of other videos too. So make sure you click her channel link in the description. Go follow Pam Entertainment TV. It'd be awesome if we could get her 2,000 subscribers. Pam, in addition to covering what's going on in pop culture, news, entertainment, just a lot of insight and wisdom on life, interpersonal relationships. Really, she sprinkles in the right amount of humor, if you ask me. It's a great combination all around for conversations. And her chat's really fun. I'm in there sometimes. So, not to toot my own horn, but sometimes I'm in Pam's chat. I try to be as much as I can. So definitely click her channel link, hop over there. And then we have a ton of comments. I think this is one of the first occasions where I am overwhelmed by the conversations. I was trying to look through and pick some to pull up, and I'm like, you guys are having conversations amongst yourselves, so I would just be lost if I tried to do it. But I do want to say hi to everyone that stopped in. So of course, Barbara, you are our resident comedian in the chat here on this channel. I've seen a lot through here. Jessica, I want to shout you out. You are sharing a personal experience, and I agree with you wholeheartedly that it hurts to say, well, why doesn't someone just leave? And to say that with the implication that because they didn't leave, that what their experience is any less, right? Because maybe it's okay to say what would have helped you leave, right? Maybe that's an important conversation to have. What resources should there be? What's the course of action? What do you do if you're in the situation? But a lot of the time when you see that phrase, why didn't so-and-so just leave? The implication is kind of like an oh well, or they did it to themselves. And that's not really the right way to approach really anyone's experience. So I totally agree with your sentiment here. And I agree that I don't know, like sometimes it's just like, it's almost tiresome to keep hearing, right? You open up X, you open up Twitter, and you see, well, why didn't she just leave? Why didn't he just leave? Why didn't she just leave? Anytime a situation like this pops up. So never gets any better to see it. And then again, I did drop Dre's channel earlier. It's a few minutes back in the chat if you want to hop over and follow Dre's channel. Dre does great coverage on, comics, movies, Marvel Entertainment. So does Pam. But Dre is much more focused on news happenings in that realm. So if you're into that and into where it blends with pop culture and legal news, Dre's a great hybrid of both worlds. And then, so Eliza says, did he have it? Is that a pun on did he have it for the tape? See, going back sometimes it's hard to piece together. And then it appears the rabbit hole goes pretty deep with the bloke. Yeah, and I mean, I think we're only at the very beginning of it. And I think there's probably a lot of speculation, guys. A lot of these things that we're hearing, I'm hearing things repeated to me already, like, oh, did you hear this? Did you hear that? A lot of it out there is just speculation. But the stuff that we know, the stuff that we can see with our own eyes is bad enough. So I wouldn't say I believe every rumor I see floating around. But I certainly do not think that we are even close to the bottom of this rabbit hole with Diddy and anything that he's been involved in. And then let's see. Statute of limitations is there to protect the guilty. I think in a way that this might become more serious. I understand why a statute of limitations exists. And it's interesting because you would think, hey, technology makes things easier to trace, easier to detect, easier to have a record of. So on one hand, there could be an argument, hey, we should shrink some statutes of limitations because we should be able to prove our case. We should be able to do an investigation sooner. But on the other hand, what about a cold case? What about someone who's too afraid to come report, right? So it's like one of those areas where there's good arguments on both sides. And then Mr. Minnis, I just saw you had joined way earlier, so I'm late now, but hey. And then I'd seen, Cruz, you became a member. Thanks for becoming a member. Shout out to you. Come join us. There are, if you're a member, guys, by the way, you can choose your Mario Kart character as the channel emoji. Is members only. So choose your character. And then, yeah, you guys have so much insight. And then thankfully nothing oozed out from under Diddy's towel while he was chasing Cassie. And that is crazy, you know, just the idea. And that's a great point that Pam brought up. In this lawsuit, Cassie brings up, he hears Suge Knight's at a diner and they bolt. They have to drop everything they're doing to go find Suge. Like, first of all, that's another example of unhinged behavior, if you ask me. Second of all, if you have all these people kind of running around doing your bidding for you, but when you have the opportunity to go and, you know, meet someone in the yard, if you will, you want to take it up on your own. That's kind of vicious. Like, when it comes to the nitty-gritty of possibly taking someone out, shooting someone up, ending someone's life, you want to run right into it, showboat it. That's pretty consistent with unhinged behavior. And then, hey, Al, good to see you. And then, yeah, I'm at the point where I think we just got done watching the apology video. You guys are all saying the same thing. You know, it seems ingenuine. I saw he's wronged so many people. I see Eliza, I've tried to catch up with Cola Boot. That seems like a long rabbit hole to go down some of the Kim Porter stuff. So I've seen it. I'm aware of it. Unfortunately, it looks like a lot of people are coming after Cola Boot in her replies. You know, kind of like I saw some people criticizing why are you trying to steal the shine from Cassie to deflect it. Like, that's irrelevant. If you have something to report on or talk about and it goes to substantiate someone else's experience, I don't see that as stealing the shine. But as far as what she's actually saying that she's reported on, as far as Kim Porter, I'm not aware. But if you guys are curious to what Eliza's talking about, someone named Cola Boot, that's her nickname on X. She's an author. She was apparently one of bin Laden's mistresses. She had several conversations with Kim Porter and was writing a book on it and helping Kim Porter write her own book before she passed away from what was deemed to be pneumonia. But she's been talking about that for longer than just this time period where this hotel video comes out. But she's been talking about it more this week because people are kind of coming at her as if she's only just started reporting on this for some type of grift. I don't know if her reporting, I haven't looked into it. I can't say how valid it is on its face, but I can tell you that she's been reporting on it for longer than just this week. So if you want to check that out, go use your own critical thinking, go down the rabbit hole yourself and see what you think, because there could be a lot of interesting stuff in there. And then, let's see. So, hey, EC the Third, good to see you. And then Pam's not here anymore. I missed the shout out to Pam. Sorry. And then, yeah, you guys are same thing. Settlement is probably somewhere between 10 and 30 million for that Cassie thing. I'm like losing my voice. I did a motion to dismiss reading on the Karen Reed case right before this, so I think it's kicking in. So with that, I want to thank you guys all so much for joining and sharing your thoughts. Sorry I didn't get to all the comments in the chat. I do like to try to when it's more manageable, but this is a lot. And then, yeah, I think the Bin Laden, but maybe, you know, I don't know. And then I want to shout out to all the new members. So if you guys got a membership gifted to you, 50 were gifted by High Value Man. Make sure you say thank you if you're still in here and realize that you got one. If you don't realize that you got one, just say thank you anyway, because it's still awesome. It's helping to support videos like this so I can dedicate more time to doing it, and we can all share more thoughts like this on other streams. Shout out to Ron Alexander, Dre Mack, and with that being said, we're going to close out the show. Hope to see you guys over on Pam's video in her chat at 7:30 Central. Just an hour and a half from now, about 2 hours. You guys all take care. Thanks so much. Stay safe out there. Bye, guys.